Welcome back to Pennoir Goal podcast. My name is Shane.
My name's Dean, and today we're joined by
Mr. Bluntforce Keith.
Mr. Bluntforce in Bluntforce HQ here.
in Bluntforce HQ.
Where the magic happens.
Where the magic
Where
happens.
the magic happens. Yeah, how are you keeping anyway, Keith?
I'm sweet. Can't complain. Still kicking and screaming. Still above ground.
Still doing a lot of tattoo work as well, eh?
Yeah. Just back to work. Obviously, my hands are a bit jacked up from the last fight, so I took 2 weeks off. That's the wonderful thing about being self-employed. That is, I can take some time off if I need to and all that kind of stuff. And I don't have to ring anybody and be like, I'm not coming in today. I just don't
Ask
come
for
in.
permission.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So still tattooing away, probably to a lot lesser capacity than I have done in previous years. I've taken a step back from. There's a lot of like media requirements with tattooing, a lot of travel. Like last year, I was flat out. I was gone all over Europe, all over the UK, North America, and I've taken a step back from that this year. But in the place of that, obviously the influencer crossover boxing is taking its place. So I think I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to a poor schedule. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before we get into all of that, would you like to just take it back and where it all began? Like, how did you get into probably just growing up actually to start?
So I'm from Limerick originally.
I know the accent a little bit. Yeah.
You're the funny people say, really? You're from Limerick? I don't really have an accent. My accent comes out when I'm watching football or when I've been in Limerick or around my Limerick friends for a while or in a bad mood. I get super Limerick City. But yeah, I'm from Limerick originally. I moved to Dublin 5, almost 6 years ago now. I only actually professionally started tattooing when I moved to Dublin. I always knew how to tattoo. I learned maybe 10, 12 years ago. A lot of my close mates back home were tattooers or were doing a tattoo apprenticeships, and I learned from just fucking about with them, really. We'd tattoo stupid stuff on each other when we were drunk, like that kind of stuff. I was a manager of a tattoo shop before I became a tattooer. So I'm getting tattooed almost 20 years, then became a tattoo shop manager, and then kind of became a professional tattooer. So I kind of did it backwards. But the beauty about that is the skills I've learned as a manager and a client have directly affected how busy I am as a tattooer, because I look at a lot of things from a business point of view and also from a client point of view. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not looking at, I think a lot of tattooers these days suffer from looking at clients like dollar signs on legs.
Yeah, it's just money.
Whereas I've been in the other positions first, so I have a greater appreciation for it.
Seeing both sides of the coin, kind of.
Exactly, 100%. And I think that's kind of lost, especially in the social media days now we have, where like everyone wants to be a rock star and have like 1 million followers on Instagram, whatever else. But at the end of the day, we're a customer service. So you don't see Tyler's coming to your house, to Tyler Kitchen, and being like, look at me, hey guys, today I'm at Dino's house and I'm telling his kitchen, that kind of way. So
when you steal that place, kitchen's falling apart.
Put the kettle on there.
So it's a case of like just trying to balance the two now, because obviously the industry has exploded, especially since I started getting tattooed. And obviously there's a lot more money in it, a lot more eyes on it and stuff like that. So been tattooing professionally since I moved to Dublin, worked in a couple of shops in the city, and worked with some great artists, worked in some shops in the UK also, and then eventually opened up this space last year towards the tail end. I just thought the timing was right, from sitting down having business meetings with my accountant, financial advisor, all that kind of stuff, and it was just like a viable option. I personally didn't think it was at the time. I mean, trying to open up a business or having property in city centre Dublin, everyone knows when you hear that, it's like, Jesus, you're crazy. But I'm very lucky and blessed that I have the clientele and the rapport in business to back it up. So I'm in a very, very privileged position.
Did you always know you wanted a tattoo? Like as a kid, like what was every kid's dreams? Like mine was to be a footballer. You played Dinos as well. But did you always know, like, what was your dream, like growing up?
I heard years ago a great one from a fella at the corner of a bar. I think everyone who's ever walked into an Irish bar has seen like that kind of point man in the corner. And I remember years ago a fella stopped me and goes, when I was growing up I always wanted to be a fire truck. And I was, a fire truck? And he was like, yeah, but I had to settle for being a fucking tank instead. I always thought that was a great one.
That's a
but I did obviously art in secondary school, and it had me And then where it fell down was obviously the curriculum for Leaving Cert in Ireland. There's art history as well, and I didn't like history. I didn't like I preferred the actual the making of things and creating art as opposed to having to study it. So I fell down on that. I just being a young fella, didn't have interest in it. Then I think a lot of people maybe listening to you guys, you know Pat Short, the comedian. His brother was my art teacher. He was a wanker. You know what I mean? He basically talked me
Sorry
out.
about that, but
I wanted to go to art college, and he talked me out of it.
Really?
And I was like, all the fucking happiness in your family was wasted on your brother and all. I thought like, you know, I'll go to art college and, you know, I'll try and hone this or whatever. I did my Leaving Cert mock on the history of tattooing, like the whole like Maori culture and all the Tabori, all the stuff, and then brought it to him, and he just fucking shit all over it. And I think at that moment then I was like, maybe this is now. In his defense, the flip side of that is at the time tattooing wasn't a viable career option. You know, we didn't have things like Instagram. Like we were just in the baby stages of even getting Facebook. You know what I mean? We were all still kind of on Bebo, all that kind of shit. Like, you know what I mean? So we're like, a day rate for a tattoo back then would have been €300, €350, where now it's like there's people only a quarter of a mile away from here charging €1,000 a day. You know, which is crazy, which is like what more money than what surgeons in James's hospital are charging. You know what I mean? So at the time that was the case, but I ended up getting forced by my parents to do biochemistry in UL. Fucking terrible at it. Like, I just didn't want to be there. I think my freshers week, I went and got my neck tattooed and was just like, yeah, you know, I'll fucking show you kind of thing.
Bell here.
Yeah, exactly. So it took me a little while to kind of like carve out where I wanted to go in life. Like I was saying, obviously I'm only tattooing professionally as my sole income in the last number of years, but the flip side of that is I have a better appreciation for the business, a better appreciation for the art. You know what I mean? I would like to think a little more of a mature head on my shoulders. Whereas if I had this passive income and I had all these opportunities to travel and stuff when I was like 19, 20, I'd probably be like a Motley Crue or Guns N' Roses, you know, a rock star without an instrument type vibe, you know what I mean? So there was plenty of that when I was younger, especially being on the tattoo scene, but at least now I've quieted down a small bit more, so I have a bit more appreciation for the business, you know.
It's good to see as well that not only do you tattoo, you actually implement it on yourself as well.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely, yeah.
But you see a few tattoo artists that do tattoo and you have none of themselves, they look and saying, do you really love it?
Well, it's like it's playing into the whole like, would you trust the skinny chef or would you trust the bald barber? You know what I mean? And that's entirely fine. I think if you are in the tattoo industry for a while, or you are heavily tattooed or been around a certain caliber of tattooer, you'll be able to know straight away if that person is passionate about the art and the community or industry or whatever way you want to phrase it. Like, I've been around tattooers and I've name dropped what I would consider like, you know, a Mount Rushmore tattooers, are like a lot of legends that have been in the scene, and they haven't a clue who I'm talking about. And it's kind of like same thing with football. If you're talking to a Liverpool fan, let's say, you go, start talking, you know who Kenny Dalglish is or Ian Rush, whatever, they're kind of like, look at you, 2 10 heads, you're like, you're plastic straight out, you know, kind of way. That it's like alright, okay, we can't really vibe on the same level, you know, that kind of way.
Same with a friend of my dad's. He went off the match one day over in Liverpool, and they were in the lift. I think it was Ronnie Whelan in the lift with them, and the rest knew who it was, but one of the friends, supposed to be a Liverpool fan, had clue who it was. Look and say, you're supposed to be a Liverpool fan, you should be known this.
What are you doing here?
Like, you're not turning around and asking for a picture or an autograph, what's wrong?
I feel like a lot of people, especially anyone who's been to the ground over the last number of years, and obviously the recent success that Liverpool have enjoyed, I feel like the current generation or the generation after us will probably have that a lot more of those. I hate using the term plastic fans, but like, the
glory hunter kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Man City fans of today are like the former Leeds and Blackburn fans of the 90s.
We're the likes of Liverpool fans that our age stood by through the bad times, crying in the room watching them play.
I remember growing up as a Liverpool fan, and bar one night in Istanbul, it was like having disability, bro. All my friends were United fans.
Give me a dog.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like getting a blue badge for your car, bro.
And they were in that prime at the time as well, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, exactly, but they're not now, and long may it last.
Yeah, long may it last. Did you always like boxing as a kid?
I always liked
Scrap.
Like, you know what I mean? I never shied away
That's the
from
limerick, is it?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, exactly. If you don't scrap, you don't eat. I played rugby to quite a good standard when I was younger. Like my secondary school, I won junior senior cup the same year back to back. Played for Young Munster. Was in and around the likes of Paul O'Connell and stuff before he was who he is now. And things like that. My dad and his brothers played for Old Crescent, who are obviously a very well known AIL team as well. Like one of my uncles had a full blown fist fight with Ron O'Gara when he was playing, all that kind of stuff. So like, you know, there's a saying where it's like, what is it? Irish born but Munster by the grace of God. So like Munster rugby was the thing. Football isn't really a big thing in Limerick right now. Like obviously we've had teams like Limerick 37s and obviously treaty football now in the League One over the number of years, but I played rugby more than, let's say, box. I never boxed amateur or anything like that, but I was a fight fan. Like what was it, Andy Lee, for example, who's obviously Joseph Parker's coach and went to the Olympics for Ireland and all that kind of stuff and won a world title himself for super middleweight. He only lived over the road from me. Like I remember when Andy moved back from London and stuff like that, he lived in Castleconnell, which wasn't that far from where I grew up. Like my mum had a cafe / restaurant in the same village and stuff like that, so we all kind of knew. Like I remember when Andy went to the Olympics, I remember all that and staying up late to watch him fight in Madison Square Garden and fight Julio Chavez Jr.'s Julio Chavez Jr. Senior's young fella and stuff like that. I would have watched the likes of Bernard Dunn and all that kind of stuff. Kind of kept a finger on the pulse of boxing, but maybe MMA took over in my later teens, early 20s, that kind of stuff, you know.
You done MMA as well?
I did MMA like maybe 12-13 years ago, not into a crazy standard or whatever. It was more like a 12-week white collar thing, whatever. There's a lot to learn in that.
Do you enjoy it? Yeah, I'd say grappling and the other side, the kind of just boxing is just boxing.
Well,
kind of like
I've done it, and I'm more standing combat boxing.
Yeah.
But see the jiu-jitsu and all, I enjoyed that more, and like more
it's like chess.
It's great.
What happened to me when it came to MMA was I did a B class semi-professional fight in Cork a long time ago, and I got a strength and conditioning coach because at the time you're a UFC fan and you see all these guys with strength and conditioning coaches. So I got a strength and conditioning coach. Yeah, exactly. And I actually fell in love with that, and I found myself doing that more than doing the MMA training. And then obviously that led into a couple of years ago, I packed in MMA, kept up the gym training and started powerlifting. So I powerlifted for a number of years. So I did MMA at 155 pounds. I just weighed in for my last fight 251 pounds. So there's a 100-pound difference there. And that's probably down to competing as a powerlifter for a number of years. And I was never meant to be. I've been like over 100 kilos since I was like 11, man. You know what I mean? I've been a second row in the pack in rugby and all. And so to be fair, I was always spending money going to fights. And obviously we were there for the surge of Conor McGregor and all that kind of stuff, and making sure you stay up late and having nights out for the fights, all that kind of crack. And how I ended up getting into this was I was in the UK, I was in Glasgow tattooing, and I had an opportunity to go to the Misfits card last year for Dylan Dennis and Logan Paul. And obviously anyone who was on social media last year when that was built up, the build up was fucking huge. It was everywhere. You know what I mean? And obviously I had met Dylan years ago when he came to SPG to train Conor and all that kind of stuff. So that was like, oh yeah, cool, I'll definitely be there. So hopped in the train, 6 a.m. from Glasgow to Manchester, boom. Went to the event late that night because it was the same night Ireland played New Zealand in the World Cup, and I was like, no, I'll go in after the fucking rugby's over, you know what I mean? Because everyone in their mad thought we were going to win the World Cup. So I went in, was around a couple of people, watched the end of the card, all that kind of stuff. But on that card was the Misfits heavyweight title fight between Chase Damore and Tempo Arts. I hadn't a fucking clue who these dudes were, right? And I heard the announcer being like, oh, Misfits heavyweight title fight. And I was like, oh, let's throw an eye on this. I was like, these dudes are my size. And I just jokingly said to someone then, I'll bait the two of them, right? So being in a privileged position with tattooing back in Ireland, obviously I know a lot of people of, like, I hate the term influencer, but people of notoriety or whatever. And Ben Williams messaged me and was like, I have a fight card coming up for content creators. And at the time I was putting out a shitload of content around tattoo and a tattoo business, like reels, and I'd gotten a lot of like magazine coverage and stuff for my tattoo, and so I had the following of the fan base, whatever way you want to phrase it there. And he was like, you're perfect for it.
Yeah.
So then the search started, try and find an opponent. Meanwhile, I'm trying to learn to box. Now I knew stuff from years ago.
Fundamental, you kind of
but everything, you know yourself from doing it, like everything you're taught with your hands, then it's followed up with your legs.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of unlearn that kind of stuff, you know. So I started training in New York, in the Bronx. I was there tattooing.
One place to train, I tell you. The Bronx.
This place is. I got PTSD from it, man. So I look up this guy called Eric Kelly. Anyone who doesn't know, Eric Kelly is he's trained with Gervonta Davis, like a fucking who's who of boxing. He himself fought Andre Ward. He's won a Golden Gloves. He's fought world level for a very long time. So I was like, I hit him up on Instagram and I was like, hey dude, I'm over in America tattooing. Is there any chance I could do a one-on-one training session with you? And he was like, what time? He's brought back what time? And I was like, I land Wednesday, can I come to you Thursday morning? It was a grand. Told me how much it was going to cost. Went down. Completely, like, boxing and combat sport fitness is at next level. Like, it's you know what I mean? But I'm fucking there, just been on my arse tattooing, eating what I wanted for the last couple of months. Like, hadn't really done any training. Went down, and man, it was a baptism of fire, bro. Like, this dude, like, halfway through the training session, he was like, oh, where are you staying? And I was like, what? And he was like, where are you staying? I told him, and he was like, oh, you're brave. And I was like, am I? I was like, I just saw it on TripAdvisor, I booked it. Then, like, he starts pulling out, like, an array of weapons, and he's, like, telling me how dangerous he is, and if I don't stop, if I don't put my hands up and start blocking things, that he's going to shoot me and all that kind of stuff. And so this is, like, 11 a.m. in the Bronx, in New York, getting training for my life. And I'm, like, my arms are heavy, I'm sweating my life away, I feel like I'm going to get sick, and my phone doesn't work. There's no one with me, and I'm like, I'm in the hood, right? Do you know what I mean? So I was like, right, okay. Eventually, training session ended after an hour and a half, and we had a good conversation, and like, transpires he's a lovely man and whatever else. So I came home, and the whole flight home from New York, I was thinking, I need to replicate that training, because if that's what a beginner's one-on-one is with like a high-level coach, I need to try and find that back in Ireland. And obviously that's the search started then, and I was like looking for coaches, and I know a couple of friends then who knew Stephen Ormond, and I'd actually seen Stephen Ormond fight against Derry Matthews years ago on Box Nation on Sky Digital. And so I messaged him, and Steve got back to me in like half an hour, and went to meet him the following day for a first session. And the first thing he said to me was like, I don't train fighters. And I was like, all right, okay. And so then I was like, oh, just teach me how to box. I was like, I have this like charity kind of like influencer thing coming up, and I was so afraid of being like, do you know Logan Paul? Because I didn't want a true out boxer to be like, what's wrong with you? Like, you know what I mean? So we had a chat, whatever, and we trained, and then the opponent was found. Then ended up getting a guy called Jake Castle from the UK, because it was quite hard to find someone at the heavy limit. He was a content creator in Ireland, you know what I mean? A lot of content creators like aren't big dudes,
or even
you know what I mean?
Just sparring, what I was saying about sparring, like just,
it's a nightmare, man. It was an absolute nightmare. And I spent maybe 12 weeks getting the shit beat out of me, like, because you throw in one thing and you're almost, you know, you want to sit back and kind of admire your work, being, that was cool, and then before you know it, you're getting chinned, like, you know what I mean? So that was grand. The beautiful thing about having a head coach in Steo, a man who knows boxing, is I was able to get the other guy's footage that he had fought before and be like, this is what he looks like. So then we just made a game plan based around what, you know what I mean, what the guy was going to bring to the table. And we did the UCC one. In the build up, obviously me being me, went all in with the social media content and with my videographer and all that kind of stuff, and that's how the ICB got involved. They came and sanctioned our fight. They did the whole like medicals, drug tests, all that shit. We had a separate weigh-in. Like, it was I didn't realize how big of a deal this scene was until I started getting hit up on Twitter, and I never used Twitter. I used to just, if it was like the transfer deadline day, I'd use Twitter, things like that, you know. So I was like, oh shit, this is actually taking on a life of its own. And the PBA got involved as a sanctioning body. And I remember years ago, David Hay fought Derek Chisora, and they got in a famous fight where he battled him, and the British Boxing Board of Control took their licenses away. So it was actually the PBA who sanctioned their fight because the BBBC wouldn't sanction it. Yeah. So on their Instagram page was a picture of David Hay and Chisora fighting, and then there was a picture of me next to it. So I was like, what the fuck? What is my life? You know what I mean?
What's going on here?
And I was like, what the fuck? And then we started sharing the pay-per-view link for the UCC thing, and I started going crazy. I had a guy from Stockholm message me being like, can't wait to watch your fight now. And I was like, what the fuck?
Everybody loves a heavyweight.
And I was like, it's crazy, right? So obviously we did the fight. I was overwhelmed with the support because the warehouse was sold out on the night. It was fucking crazy. Like, you know what I mean? It was like the Coliseum, because the way it is the ring, there's ringside around it, and then there's like a balcony all around it, but you're like looking straight down to the ring, you know what I mean? So it's perfect for boxing events.
Basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So we got that out of the way, and then the fucking phone started.
How did you feel though getting in there for the first time? Was it
freaking out, man? I was like, I'm same thing, like even like 2 weeks ago in Florida. I feel like if you're not nervous, there's something wrong.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Nerves are a good thing sometimes.
Absolutely.
Most of the time.
And everyone was like, "Oh, you're gonna chin this guy and all," and I was like, "Yeah, that's cool,
it's
but I have to do it."
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean? And like, you have all these mad notions in your head, like leading up to it. And I remember Andy, my cut man, and Steo in the holding area of the night, the UCC fight, was like, they're like, walk out slow, and I was like, right, okay. And then like, if you think you're walking out slow, walk slower than that. And I was like, right, okay. So I took my sweet ass time going down. So I kind of gathered myself a small bit, kind of got to the ring. But it was nerve wracking as well, because at the end of the day, like, he could just board a flight and go home. I live in Dublin. And no one wants to get their ass kicked in front of, like,
it's more what people think then.
Exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I was like, I knew I'd prepared properly, you know, and I'm not afraid of getting hit. I think a lot of the people in this scene, especially, like, you know, everyone looks great on pads, but like, I never see them being like, oh, I sparred today. You know what I mean? So I was like, right, okay. And I remember, like, the dude hit me with some big shots in the first round, but they were my mistakes. Like, he hit me on the break, and then, you know, I came out and didn't box how I was boxing the whole lead up. I was doing things that wasn't me. And he caught me once or twice, and I remember going back to the corner in the middle of the first and the second, and I couldn't hear a word that Stephen and Andy were saying to me. Even to this day, I have no idea what they were saying. What instructions were, I have no idea. I just knew that he had thrown the kitchen sink at me, and I was like, right, okay, well, there can't be too much after that, because we're both big dudes. I know what it's like to be a big person and walk around at this size or whatever. So we went out, whatever else, and I caught him lovely at the end of the first round, and I was like, right, I'm gonna go out and just touch him and see how he reacts. And then obviously there's footage of it where I hit him to the body and then hit him to the head, and I knew straight then he didn't want that to do with it. So I was like, right, okay. And then I just marched him down and finished the fight. Once that was over, I took Sunday to relax, went to a hotel, went to a spa, chilled the fuck out, but the phone didn't stop. Then I started getting hit up by managers and all, and it was a bit like overwhelming, because I'll be honest with you, I got into this as a joke. Like, I was just messing.
It was just me. Contract talks.
Do you know what I mean? It was me with 1 or 2 Guinness in me, acting the bollocks at an event, you know, kind of way. And then I was like staying up late to talk to managers in America and all this kind of shit. And it's true, like what you said a minute ago, everyone wants to deal with a heavyweight. So I took a more professional approach to the second fight. I was aware of a couple of fight options before it was public knowledge. And then obviously I was invited to go fight in Florida, which is crazy, because there's boxers who I look up to who have never fought outside Europe, you know, kind of way. Like, there's boxers who I look up to and respect who never fought outside Ireland, you know, and to be flown with my coach, my partner, the whole way to Florida, all expenses paid, looked after for a week, and then fight live for the world to see for your second fight is fucking mental. Like, but I took a more professional approach. Did more road work, obviously, as you've seen from being there, got more higher caliber sparring in, being around older and more respected and wiser boxing heads, like boxing purists in Stephen Ormond and the guys in St. Kevin's Boxing Club as well, because that's the edge. And I've been saying, and I'll say this, and I don't give a fuck who it offends or whatever else, if you're a YouTube a crossover boxer, influencer boxer, whatever else, you have no business being trained by other influencer crossover boxing coaches or boxers. Why would you not, like, if you want to learn how to drive a Formula 1 car, you're not going to go and get a fella who just does driving tests to teach you how to drive a Formula 1 car. You're going to want to get like Lewis Hamilton or someone to show you.
Give it the respect it deserves, like.
Especially because the sport of boxing deserves it for a start. But at the same time, you're being put on a platform that 90% of us probably shouldn't be in, if I'm honest, right? Because there's much better boxers out there, like the boxing purists and the professionals. They deserve the platform that we're getting, and I'll be the first one to admit it. You know what I mean? They definitely deserve the money that some people are getting in the scene are getting.
Some
do you know what I mean? 100%. I'm in a weird position because I respect the professional scene so much, and that, you know, I have a lot of friends in it, and that attributes to my approach from participating in this. But then I am also labelled as an influencer crossover boxer, so it's like I'm trying to find the middle ground between the two without pissing off either community, that kind of way. But yeah, I'm just kind of rolling with it at the moment. Even the knockout in Florida, like, I don't think it's set in yet really. You know what I mean? Like, I was getting photos from the guys in the Red Cow, had the fight up on the big screen in the nightclub, and then like my dad had people around to his house at 2 a.m. to watch the fight and all, and it's like, this is weird as fuck. Like, you know what I mean?
I done this when I was a kid watching.
And exactly. I mean, what the fuck is going on? And even now today, spent all day negotiating the next fight and speaking to the sanctioning body and speaking to matchmakers and speaking to my managers, and
there's a lot that goes in it that people don't see. You just think people bring one person and get it.
It's a nightmare,
and that's that. And
I'll be the first to admit it. It's like, it's probably harder to matchmake in this scene than it is in the pro scene, because the sanctioning body in professional boxing will be like, we're ordering you guys to fight, and they'll order the promotion companies, we're giving you 60 days to sort this fight out. You know what I mean? Where here it's kind of like,
it's he wants.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, there is a certain element of, oh well, it makes more sense for you guys to fight, but like, they're always seeking for the bad blood and the storyline, which is like, for me coming into it from a sport point of view, I'm like, but why can't we just have a knock? Like, why does it have to be like, just your mama's so big? Like, why does it have to be like that?
It's all more sworn into the wrestling, like the entertainment.
I was tagged in. I get tagged in these fan posters all the time, and I post them for content, and it's to trying to stay a bit relevant without me having to really do much. And I was tagged in one with a fighter called DTG, who fought in the Leeds Misfit cards when I was there to support Ben, and he won by knockout, whatever else, and they were saying he's 2-1 and I'm 2-0 now, and that would be a good matchup, whatever. And someone texted him, I was like, oh, I can't wait to see you drop the diss track for this fight. And I was like, a fucking diss track for a boxing match? I was like, you haven't fucking laughed, like. And then I had to see that, like, the dude, he releases diss tracks for every opponent he fights, whatever else. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, hire Versatile to wear the fucking response or something? Do you know what I mean? I was like, I'm just a tattooer, man. Do you know what I mean?
I'll tattoo him if you want, but
I was just like, what the fuck, like. But the banter in that scene is gas as well, because obviously I have this ongoing feud with Chase the Moore, which is gas, because like this dude has like 2 million followers, like, and he's like been on like every fucking Netflix dating show you can think of, and he's
he's on I know him, man, curly hair Chase from America,
fucking Chevy Chase, or I call him Special Ed. But like, my nana always told me, don't ever start fights, but make sure you finish them. So he'll, for like about a month straight, he tweeted me every day, like at least every 48 hours,
sleeping things about you,
just stupid things, right? And I just tweet him back and be like, geez, I thought the rent in California would be more expensive because I'm living rent free in your head, like. Or I text back and be like, imagine getting a rematch of the world title and you're messaging me. Right? So that's gas, because now in the world rankings he was 5th and now I'm 5th and he's 6th. So he was like, the whole narrative he's gone with is, you'll never fight in Misfits, you'll never fight in Misfits, and all this kind of stuff. And I just turned around and I was like, I tweeted Mams Taylor, who's in charge of all that, and I was like, he needs to stop hiding behind the banner. And I was like, because we can fight. And I'd met him in Leeds, and I was super respectful, because I'll always give respect, but I can take it away. And I was like, because I might not be might not be that nice next time I see you. You know what I mean? Because I was like, if you're gonna say shit publicly on Twitter, then keep that energy when I see you. Because there was a couple of people who had like some strong things to say about me on Twitter, and then when I met them in Leeds, they were like, "Oh my god, it's so nice to meet you. Want to get a photo together?" And I was like, "Fuck no, I don't." You know what I mean? I was like, "I seen what you said the 22nd of January.
4 o'clock.
I'm keeping receipts, like, you know." Because I'm not about that. I don't clout chase. Like, if you want to have beef, we can have beef, but like at the same time as I had messaged Mams and he had like shared it and stuff, and I said, "Look, I'm staying busy." I was like, "And when the call comes, the call will come, but I'm not waiting here being a beg on social media being like, I can't wait to fight with Misfits." Because if you go on social media, Jesus Christ, the line for getting into Misfits must be longer than the social welfare queue, because everyone's got a Misfits contract these days, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to stay active. I do think those big fights will come. Now, whether they'll come fight me in Dublin is another thing. I don't know, like, if they, because I feel like it'd be like Shamrock Rovers versus Bows in the fucking place. You know what I mean? If we were to fight in the Tree Arena, but hopefully, I'd like to.
That'd be smashing.
For being on the road for this next fight and the one previous, it'd be nice to have a big fight night back in Dublin. Like,
everybody are there.
Absolutely.
If they just don't get the home feel, kind of.
You know what I mean? It'd be class. You know what I mean? Because
like as you said, you've seen famous people fight in the likes of Tree Arena, and you look up there, and then all of a sudden you're there, and not like it comes at you just like.
Because I for the last camp, I had done like a light body spar with Thomas Carty, who's obviously fought twice in the Tree Arena on both Katie Taylor cards, and he's RBUI Celtic heavyweight champion. You know what I mean? And he had been in Sandy Cove one morning, and afterwards we were just chatting or whatever, and like I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm not that far away from, you know, making the same walk that these fighters who I look up to and I really respect have made, you know, that kind of way. Like it'd be massive for me. And I mean, I've already done crazy things in this little scene as it is, but to do something like that, it's crazy. Some of the stuff that's been mentioned that obviously I can't publicly speak about because contracts and managers and all that fucking shit is mad. Like, getting voice notes from Melvin Manhoff, who's obviously UFC Bellator Pride legend, being like, "Hey, I want you to do this," and I'm like, "How'd you get my fucking WhatsApp?" You know what I mean? I'm like, whereas a couple of years ago I would have asked you for an autograph. I had this conversation earlier with my apprentice and my client, and obviously I was in Belfast last Saturday for the Conlon boxing card, and I've been a Michael Conlon fan for forever, right? And when I'm hanging around with, like, you know, Jay Byrne and Jay Quigley, all these promoters and fighters, and Padraig McCrory and all this kind of stuff, people I really genuinely look up to, people who I still set my alarm for 4 a.m. to get up to watch their fights when they're fighting internationally, all this kind of stuff, are coming over and saying hello. You almost feel like you can't be like, "Michael, can I have a photo with you?" Because they're trying to be like, I fit in here, I should be here. And it's very much like a pinch yourself kind of moment. And the beautiful thing about it is, anyone can say whatever they want about the crossover scene, being like, "Oh, fucking don't mind KSI and YouTubers and fucking all this kind of stuff, whatever else." But I like to feed back and give as much attention to the domestic scene in Ireland as possible. So it's why I do go to the professional fights. It's why I have befriended a lot of fighters in the undercards of these events too, to try and, like, if I have a bit of I suppose notoriety or a following online, whatever else, and I put up their ticket link and they get one ticket sale off that goes into their pocket. More importantly, it goes into the back pocket domestic boxing in Ireland, because there's no reason why I can't piggyback off of all this crossover scene and give it back to the boxers who are doing the hard yards and have been doing the hard amateur careers and are doing the hard stuff with the pro scene. Because realistically, in a couple of years' time, when I'm fucking too old to this, whatever, it's the professional fights I'm gonna go watch. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm trying to, like, I did an interview with a boxing outlet the second last time I went to Belfast to support Paddy Donovan, and I was like, look, if I can be the bridge between the pro scene and the crossover scene and be that person who's kind of like shining a light on both from both avenues, then I will, you know, kind of way. Because I feel like, much like tattooing, I phrased this for years, where I'm getting tattooed 20 years, so I'm of the old school generation. I understand those old school values, but I was brought up around YouTube and Instagram, so I can pluck from both sides without discrediting either. Whereas, like, I'm stuck in the middle. I have a lot of very highly regarded professional friends and coaches on one side, but then I'm doing this crossover scene too, where all the opportunities and money are right now at the moment, and if I can merge them together or bring some bit of connection between the two, then I'm winning. Do you know, kind of way?
All day long. But the good thing as well, I've seen personally, you give the boxing the respect that it deserves. There's no like as you said, with people getting YouTube fellow YouTubers to coach them, you're getting proper boxing professionals, and putting in like an actual like a professional fight.
Of course, it's like a case of like what I was just saying. If I have a pro coach in Stephen Ormond, or if I was to go to like, you know, I don't know, like an Emmett Brennan or someone like that, right? And let's say I just put up a story and say, in working with Steve or Emmett this morning, and they get a client off of that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. A repeat custom from somebody who isn't a boxer, but is like, I love watching the fights. I want to learn to box. You know, kind of way. Then it's like it's beneficial for them too, and it's like, I get a really big kick out of helping people, and like, you know, whether it be in tattooing, introducing one tattoo friend to another, so they can go to their shop and guest internationally, or they can like swap ideas and all that kind of stuff. Or in this scene, whereas like, you know, my mate and co-coach Lee, who'd like never travelled the world of boxing but had boxed all his life, getting him to pack his bags and come to Tampa with me for a week, and you know, up and down the Tampa Bay in a speedboat for the week, acting the bollocks, and I'm like, I was buzzing off the fact that I was able to show him that. Then I was me actually being there, because I was like, oh, this is cool, like this is class, but I was happier seeing their reactions to doing those cool things, you know, that kind of way. Or like if I seen a person in tattooing I would introduce to a UK tattooer, and they announced that, I'm going to so and so shop in London next month, I'm like, oh, sick, like that's, you know, it's mutually beneficial.
You like basically when you like to drag the people that helped you along, basically.
Absolutely, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't, I don't want to eat with people I wouldn't start with, you know, kind of way. And like, that's the same thing. I've obviously been offered a lot of opportunities now on the back of this, but I got here with a certain group of people, and I want to keep it that way.
Yeah, that's the best attitude.
I just wanted to touch back a bit on Bluntforce, the tattooing, the challenges you faced along the way of getting where you are today and your following. Like, everyone has challenges getting to where they get to. Like, what was yours?
So the Bluntforce thing,
the kind of business side of it as well, how hard it is. And
to be fair, the Bluntforce thing was like a little bit of a social media persona I kind of created for myself, which a whole like very like fuck you kind of attitude, you know what I mean, like I'll say and do whatever I want. I've kind of stopped that so much in recent years, but it's still very, very much like sewn into me, whereas like if I get something in my head, that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Very one-track minded. Some people might call it autistic, but I call it business minded. And there's so many different challenges when it comes to tattooing. Tattooing is a very, very, very hard business to crack from the outside coming in. Tattooers notoriously aren't very easy to deal with. I'm sure I'm no exception to that.
Why? What's the reason?
Because they think they're rock stars out of instruments. That's what it is. You know what I mean? And now I think the element of superiority has gotten worse as well, especially because of like the input of social media and stuff like that. And I'm not oblivious to that. You know what I mean? But that's what I was touching on earlier. Is like, we are a customer service. You know, and there's so many different things you could take. For example, someone being like, "Oh, my books are closed." Cool, but if you don't even entertain an idea or a conversation off somebody, it's like, but why? Do you know? I personally don't understand it. I'm like, I would never put my books up or say my books are closed, for example, because I think that cuts off the connection and the communication with the outside world. If someone wants to message me going, "Hey man, I have an idea for a back piece," but cool, let's hear it. And then maybe 5 or 6 messages into conversation go, "Look, I'd love to help you more with your project, but I actually can't do that till August." I was like, if you don't mind waiting, I can definitely help you and sort you out. But if not, here's a list of 4 people in the locality I know can help you.
They're getting something back. It's not just,
do you know what I mean? It's like, it's the same thing as like, you know, if someone has like photos up and they're driving like a fucking Lamborghini and they have a flash watch and they're wearing like the best of clothes or whatever else, there's an element of superiority, but also an element of like not being attainable by the average person. And I never want my art or my tattoos to come across, or my business to come across like it's not attainable by the person who's working 9 to 5 Monday to Friday.
Gotcha.
Because at the end of the day, right, we're no better than a fucking bricklayer. We just wear our own clothes to work and draw on people. You know what I mean? And I think that gets lost an awful lot, especially with TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. And it does inflate certain people's heads and egos, and I'm sure there's probably someone watching this now who's like, well, he was a fucking dick to me, and it's cool. I mean, it's human nature to sometimes you sip from your own Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? There was a time last week where I was like, I knock everyone out in the head. You know, it just gets in your head. And unfortunately, that's what happened. But I think the most important thing when it comes to tattooing is it's an individual journey. For example, you can learn things from other people, but nobody can tell you, you know, the right and wrong way to do things, because I feel like even the tattooers who are tattooing 30 years who I've met, they're still figuring it out today.
Every day is learning that.
Like the second someone in tattooing feels like they know all the answers, they know fuck all at the exact same time. And I've met plenty of them along the way. You know what I mean? Like I've had tattooers message me their opinions on my personal life. I'm like, what? I can count on two hands how many hours you spend in your company, and you want to tell me how I should conduct things in the gaff? What? You know what I mean? And that does come with the fact that I am quite open and honest, and I'll talk openly about a lot of things, not just business or tattooing or boxing or whatever else, but like mental health and all that kind of stuff. So that probably lends itself to the fact that I kind of invite that attention in, because people feel like, oh well, he's an open book. But in terms of tattoo business or whatever else, you need to not worry about what other people are doing, because like, even though, and I've seen this myself on many different occasions, every fucking tattooer is in direct competition with the tattooer next to them, whether it be artistically, financially, or business, because we are all clamoring for the exact same amount of ratio of clients that are out there. There's, let's say, a certain amount of tattooers, and there's only a certain amount of public who want to pay for tattoos, and regardless of style or ability or price or whatever else, we are all in direct competition with one another. And the sooner a lot of people realize that, the better, because I found out the hard way by wanting everyone in the tattoo industry to be my best friend, and then I realised not everyone in the tattoo industry wants to be my best friend.
They all have special motives.
Exactly. There's alternative motives in every business in life. You know what I mean? Not just tattooing. I just think that tattooers have probably a little bit more spare time in their hands than the average business person. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you just gotta try and stay true to yourself. That's what I try and do. I have my moments where you're riddled in self-doubt and self-criticism, whatever else, but I feel like that goes for every walk of life also. It's not just tattooing, you know. But yeah, I mean, I could probably talk in fucking riddles for a couple of hours about that. It's hard because I'm still trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? I'm still trying to navigate the correct way of doing things, and now obviously I'm a studio owner, which I religiously never wanted to be, but just business circumstances changed and I was put in the position to do this, and I'm just trying to figure it out while still producing quality tattoos that people are happy with. You know what I mean?
Daily. Going forward, the fight game. Yeah. Where can you see yourself going now in the fight game?
World title fight. Absolutely. That will. Well, I'm the mandatory for the world title now anyway, regardless. So it's just a matter about a date, a location. I have information that I can't really divulge yet. I hate this fucking NDA bullshit. Like, I know what the next steps are. I know that there's talks and rumblings and whispers of Misfits Dublin at the tail end of the summer, start of autumn. I've said this on countless interviews on podcasts that myself and Ben Williams on that card sells the place out hands down.
Yeah, that'd be very good.
You could literally have Ben fighting me fighting, the place be sold. They wouldn't even need an undercard. So that's it. I promised myself at the start of this that I give myself 24 months and see where I got with it. So I think I'm the fastest person to go 2-0 and will be 3-0 in a couple of months time in the scene, because a lot of these guys only fight once a year. So from
most active.
Yeah, well, that's exactly because I
heavyweight in it.
Man, I had the worst 2 weeks ever. Was the last 2 weeks not doing anything. I was like, fuck's sake. And there, because even my manager said to me, he was like, "You only won like 8 days ago." He was like, "Relax." Like, I was, "No, I won't relax." So I'm glad to be moving again, and obviously have a plan in place. There's been hints, talks, and negotiations for possibly doing a professional fight, which would be class. I don't want to be a professional boxer, but I would love to say I did it. You know, kind of way. So I have a lot of good friends in the promotion game, obviously JB Promotions and a couple more others as well, who are very good with advice. So maybe I'd fight under that banner in future, but we'll see. More importantly is I gotta look after my hands, because my hands are in bits now from the last fight, and if my hands are in bits I can't tattoo, and then both businesses are in the shit.
Talking about your last fight, what was the ref playing at in the last fight?
Do you know what, man? I feel like it was like a language barrier or something. I didn't think if I went to Tampa, Florida, there'd be a language barrier between me and the referee. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I watched the fight back. I made a YouTube reaction video to it.
Bluntforce Ink on YouTube, is it?
That's the one, yeah. Bluntforce Ink TV, I think it is.
Yeah, drop her a follow.
Thank you very much. And I just do a watch along. And it was weird for me because I watch everything from, you know, how we watch professional sports. So like if you're playing football, whether it be Sunday League or five-a-side, you're ingrained to view certain things as if it was watching like a, you know, a Ford Super Sunday or something. And I watched back, and to the life of me, I have no idea. All I know is I did an extra round after, because he waves the fight off twice.
He waves off.
So I did a bonus round, which was gas, because in the scene I'm in with the crossover influencer boxing thing, everyone was like, "He's knocked him out twice in one round. He's gone 3-0." And for me, obviously, I was like, "Yeah, grand." But I do feel like poor Jody took unnecessary punishment. You know what I mean? And the downside of that is, you know, boxing isn't a game. You know what I mean? And it's like, I said this in the press conference. I was like, "Look, as long as we both get to go home to our families happy and safe, that's cool." You know what I mean? And even you see in the reaction video, I motioned to the ref, being like, "Are you gonna fucking step in here? Because I can see he's out."
Do you want me to hurt him again?
You know what I mean? Kind of like, and then what happens? Then you hit him again, and the poor cunt is properly hurt. You know what I mean? And so it's a bit weird that. And I was vocal in the video saying that he should have, you know, being a bit more boisterous and being a bit more of an authority in the ring. But
it didn't look like he was in control at all, the ref.
No, I feel like he was too far away from the action at all times, and I'm not the only person on the night who felt that way as well. You know what I mean?
Looked like he was a tag team partner.
But yeah, it was. There's so many different theories on it. But at the end of the day, I went 2-0. I got the knockout. I'm happy with my performance for the most part. And the improvements between the first fight and the second fight are there, and now I have something to build on then for the third fight.
That's the same quote straight after. He's after putting up straight after when he got back, saying, "Send who you want us, don't send who you want back."
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, they can
ready for war already.
Misfits and all these other ones. They can send anyone, any man they want, but don't send any man you want back. That's it.
Do you never walk along gloves?
They never walk along.
I have a tattooed on my wrist the morning after we won the league in the lockdowns. I got that, and I promised myself I'd never get like a tattoo for football or whatever. So there was years I didn't even buy a jersey. I'd go to a game, but I wouldn't buy a jersey. So I thought it was bad luck. Even if I was doing like an accumulator on a Saturday, I would never. Man,
that's like people me till this day.
Down back
people putting bets on for matches and all, and I'd be like, "Fucking leave the Brighton game alone." And they'd be like, "What?" And I was like, "I fucking said." And I goes, "If you're betting it, don't tell me. Don't you're a crux. I don't want you around me." You know, kind of way. But just superstition like that. But obviously, I had to get the "You Never Walk Alone" tattoo when we won the league. I was actually going to walk out "You Never Walk Alone," but not the Jerry and Pacemakers one. I was going to walk out to the Dropkick Murphys do a version of it as well, and because it was Paddy's weekend, I wanted to walk out. But the DJ fucked that up as well. And
do that one day.
I know I will do. Yeah, 100%.
I don't want to say in the boxing,
because I remember seeing this years ago. It's very off topic, but my stepbrother is a professional skateboarder, but there's a skateboarder from Liverpool, England called Jeff Rowley. He was in the Tony Hawk's games and stuff like that.
Tony Hawk, what game?
We used to watch all their videos years ago, and in one of his videos he actually skates to "You Never Walk Alone" by Jerry and the Pacemakers, and it's fucking class. So I will eventually. I wanted to walk out in red as well, and have like "You Never Walk Alone" the shorts and all that, but I have so many different ideas, but I had to go with obviously the emerald green because of Paddy's weekend.
Yeah. So down the line.
Oh no, exactly.
Remember your tattoo? You never walk along.
Yeah, we said it wasn't. I got you now walking along all the way across the way.
Go. Back tattoos are no joke.
What's your worst one for pain?
On my head, definitely my head. Yeah.
Jesus.
That was. I think we did.
Do you know how many tattoos you have?
Oh no, I know my torso is done.
Oh.
So I have my armpits and everything done now.
No, I say that was sore as well, was it?
Is there a close second to your head or?
Probably my palms, man.
Yeah,
they're pretty full on, like, because you have to like tape your fingers down and stuff. Because when they start tattooing, your initial reaction is to just close your hand. You know? But yeah, I've been getting tattooed so long, you just see space and gaps. As opposed to like, oh, I like this
blank canvas.
My problem with that now is because I'm in the industry and I work in it, I get tattoo envy. Whether I see a tattoo I've done for a client or I see a friend who's got tattooed, and I'm like, fuck, I wish I had space for that. I wish I had something similar. But it's nice to look down and see certain tattoos and be like, oh, I got that done 10 years ago when I was at so-and-so show or in so-and-so shop or whatever. So they're kind of like elaborate passport stamps now, more so than like deep, meaningful tattoos, you know? But the head was rough,
Say so. How long did it take?
6 hours to line, 8 hours to colour. But there's actually on the YouTube channel, there's a full video vlog of the whole thing. It was rough, man.
Was there much blood, like? Cause
not really, because the skin is quite thin in your scalp. It healed in like 5 days. Jeez. When it was coloured, it healed in about 5 days.
Was it like sleeping after? You sleep?
Do you know what? It was like, I got it done last year and the weather was warm the following week, let's say after I got it done, and I remember taking 1 or 2 days off because obviously my brain was rattled. And I was walking to Liffey Valley Shopping Centre and I was like, is it really warm today or is my scalp on fire? I was like, I probably should have wore a hat, but no, it was a little bit bogey for the healing, especially your forehead, because it all swelled up and I just felt like my head was heavy. But it was just the last big space on my torso, and a friend of mine, Darius Smith, who I actually never got tattooed by, I was like, look, I'm giving it to you. And then he was hyped on the idea. We did the whole social media stuff, YouTube video reels. It was shared basically around the entire tattoo scene. There was like clothing companies sharing the video, and it was crazy. I think it did like 100k views in a week, you know what I mean, of like people sharing it and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of cool. But I haven't been tattooed since, let's put it that way. That was like the tail end of last year. I'm just like, I'm waiting now to finish any gaps in my legs.
You're done now.
So huge Liverpool fan, so Keith?
Massive Liverpool fan.
Massive,
What are you thinking? You're out the league final in Dublin. What do you think?
League first. We go for the league first. That's first.
Do you know what?
Nine away.
What I'll say is, right, for anyone who watched the matches of the weekend, and this is my take on it, because I have a group of friends that I'll like WhatsApp, like, so WhatsApp before kickoff or maybe the morning of the game, basically talk through who we think is going to start, all that kind of shit. Then the phone's going down to start for first 45, brief chat at half time, and then obviously a proper dissect the game in 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's okay, isn't it?
But I think us getting it done against Brighton, which was a massive if at the start of the weekend, and I was in here, and obviously I have the shop set up with every sports channel you can think of, so I don't miss any of the games. I had the game in here. I literally nipped downstairs 2 seconds, went to the bathroom, came back up. I got halfway up the stairs and I had a text, and it was from my mate Liam, who's an Arsenal fan, and he was like, oh dear, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, oh, they just kicked off, right?
What? 1 minute in.
Came up, obviously seen that they were 1-0 down, and I was like, right, okay, there's plenty of time. Then when I seen Lucio score the equaliser, I was like, right, grand. But when we got the winner, it gave me the same vibe as earlier in the season, that we weren't playing great, but we were just getting the job done.
They're the best ones.
Kept going one behind.
Do you know what I mean? And even the year we won the league, there was like Bobby Firmino's last minute header against Spurs, so things like that.
Against Everton.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? In the weirdest circumstances ever.
Carvalho against Newcastle.
You know what I mean? I scored a fucking brilliant goal for Hull last night actually as well. But then when I watched the other two play on Sunday, or after us on Sunday, and neither of them looked like they wanted it. And I said this to one of the lads. Obviously, Haaland, for example, had a fantastic year last year. Broke all the records. I was in Manchester the week after working, and he did the massive fucking Nike thing on the side of the building, and all the records of Haaland, all the records he's broken, whatever else. And I said, that's grand, but all these other teams, especially the smaller teams, spent all summer figuring them out.
And they found them out.
And it's like what they said years ago about Messi and whatever else. It's like, yeah, cool, can you do it? But can you do it in a rainy night in Stoke? When you have like Charlie Adam fucking elbowing you back in the head and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? We've seen it on Sunday that he was pulled from pillar to post by the Arsenal defenders and stuff. Of course he is, because he gets rattled. It's like when dare I speak about Nunes headbutt your man, right, from Iceland, and everyone was like, oh, he's just like Suarez, get under his skin and you'll beat him. But now they've figured it out with Haaland, and he basically toys out of the pram. You know what I mean? And I do think that it says a lot to their mentality that they get so rattled. Like, what was it, who did they play a few weeks ago? Was it against Spurs? And the whole team chased the referee down. There was a bad decision, a goal given, or it should have been offside, or it was a tackle off the ball or something. But the whole team, when have you ever seen them in the last 5 or 6 seasons like losing their minds like that? I feel like they're feeling the pressure. You know what I mean?
It must be so hard to keep up that every single season. I know Pep's like especially one of the best in the world.
I'm not going to globe Liverpool, we are later. But especially the fact that we're not been chasing them non-stop. I know last year we had a blip, but we have been chasing them non-stop.
But there's been plenty of moments there, like even fucking Everton for all intensive purposes got to the 75th minute and looked like they were going to get a draw with them. And that's why I was a bit apprehensive on Sunday when I watched the match, because it was in the 75th, 88th minute, and I was like, they're going to score, like they're going to break hearts, I know they will. And you're almost expecting it. But now it's like, alright, okay, maybe these goals aren't coming. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Obviously, everyone knows we've got 9 cup finals now, and then we're still on all fronts with the cups as well.
I think you shared it earlier. All the injuries you've had throughout the season as well.
We had some amount of injuries. Alisson, like Salah, you can go through them. You can go through
Robertson twice now.
Majestic, as much as you say, he was playing defensive midfield for us. Not a way.
He was quality when we always forget about him.
I'm just raging that I didn't get to see Thiago McAllister in the middle of the that'd have been unbelievable, like masterpiece football.
McAllister weekend. I don't know if it was because it was his former team, but he was unbelievable.
What I was impressed about with that is everyone notoriously knows that when a player goes back to face their former team, unless you're Jota, because Jota, when he plays against Wolves, is the next level, they always kind of struggle because maybe it's the fans getting on their back or whatever else, or it's just I suppose the expectation. But he was fucking like Cadillac football.
And to get booked so early in the game as well, and still get to still get still put in the effort that he did, like the tackles that he did,
and even look at like the Endo and all, like he's been him against City
smashing. You know what I mean? 15 million to say though, 90 million.
When have you ever seen Kevin De Bruyne throwing his arms up in the air in frustration from a fella who only cost a couple of quid on the grand scheme of things?
That they're all slagging coming in.
Do you know what I mean?
So he's got
getting taken off and all over it. But I think they have it figured out. I think that, you know, obviously we have a game Thursday, then we play the Scum on Sunday.
Hate you, comes.
But then Joe, it's the horrible thing about that is they'll just play not to lose.
Yeah, they will.
Do you know what I mean?
And that'll be that thing. We stopped just winning the league. That's
you know what? And
could be 10 points behind. And they still
not all fans, but most fans would probably prefer that. You know, that's how bad the fan base, but that's how.
Well, no, it's pathetic. It really is. It's like you're going to celebrate. You're going to celebrate ye having a poor season and us not winning the league over ye actually having any success. But look, it's just at the end of the day, it's the prawn sandwich brigade, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean? So,
it really is.
What about Alonso? Not coming now, is he?
That's what it looks like.
He came out and said it, but I still think there's. I definitely still think there's something there. Of course, you're going to say Leverkusen's going for the league. You're not going to turn around and say, "Yeah, lads, I'm ditching. You're still in the Europa League. I'm gone."
See, it's a weird one as well because they've obviously sacked Tuchel at Munich, and he's playing the rest of the season. So you don't know, like the Germans are odd a bunch, except for obviously our German. But I had a mad notion that Jurgen would change his mind if he won the league.
Do you know what? I keep saying Wolf of Wall Street.
I'm not fucking. I reckon, right? If we win the league and we get to finally celebrate the league in front of fans, most importantly, and have like an open top bus and whatever, I reckon that could maybe sway him. But I don't know. I mean,
he's just said it so many times that he's not going to do it, doesn't he? That's the thing. That's kind of pushed me the other side.
So I don't know.
The Wolves, the last game now, I'm going over myself, and Keane will be going over if we're still there.
If we're thereabouts, 100%, not even to try and get into the game, just to be there.
Well, then I'm supposed to have a ticket. I'm not going to hold my breath because the way things are going, but my dad's coming over with me, and he hasn't got a ticket. He's just going over just for the atmosphere, regardless. Even if we're not in, he's just going over the fact that. But imagine then Dublin as well.
Unbelievable.
Like the home outside home, basically.
Crow Park.
I remember I was in Liverpool working, tattooing the weekend we played Madrid in the last Champions League final, and it was fucking carnage at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I remember I was working a tattoo convention that was in a hotel smack bang in the middle of the Liverpool one. And I came outside just to get a breather and get a bottle of water. And there was a fella in a City jersey walking down past Wetherspoons. A fella came out of the door with a big mad pitcher of beer and just dunked it over his head at 1 in the afternoon. I was like, he should know better not to wear that around here today. But I was like, what is this? I was obviously, dejected that night because all the chances we had, we let that one slip. But I almost fear speaking about these things. Not only we'll be a bit superstitious about all that stuff, but I don't want to get too excited as well because, like we said earlier, being a Liverpool fan over the years has been heartbreak.
You remember being the hard way as well?
Absolutely, 100%. Do you know what I mean? Like having, what was it, the stat there in Sky Sports the weekend, the amount of games that we've came from behind to win this season. You know what I mean? So I just hope that we get through Thursday, no injuries, and that we're in a good place and a positive place on Sunday for the big one.
Old Trafford. Same with them the weekend. We were in the airport actually watching that Brighton game on me, and of course Welbeck, Danny Welbeck of all people just scored that first goal. I hate the cunt.
I reckon if we can get through that, get through the next two games, get 6 points in the next two games, it's a massive message.
Yeah, I was only saying it to you, only. If you get past United Old Trafford, and you know what, Sheffield are just going to sit back. It's going to be a tough game. People think Roll, get the goal. We think it's going to be a tough game. Just if you can score and get them to come out.
Yeah. Just need to be bang at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just need a stroke of luck, especially with Núñez and stuff like that. But I'm excited for it, but at the same time, like, apprehensive, don't want to talk about it too much. It's kind of like, remember the ads they did for the Rugby World Cup? Where I was like, don't talk about it. That's it.
That time.
Fingers crossed.
Should be good.
Yeah, so that's a wrap. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Keith. Really appreciate it.
Thanks. So if you don't follow him on Instagram as well, he's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Bluntforce Ink. I wouldn't mind, everybody knows it's Bluntforce.
I know, it's great. It's
like
great.
Even when I was up doing the train with people, like, I seen you up there with Bluntforce. Like, I was up there.
I've been called worse.
It's great having you on, and
thank you very much.
Episode number 7. See you all next week.
Thank you.